Hello, my name is Colby Sharp. I'm gonna just tie my shoe real quick right here. I am a 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. And one way that we do that is by reading them lots and lots and lots of picture books. And I do that every single day. I read them at least one picture book. It is an amazing part of our day. And I'm gonna share with you 10 picture books that I read my students last month. I'm so excited. So we're going to start off with a beloved character, Bruce. You probably have met Ryan T. Higgins' Bruce in the book Mother Bruce, which is where it all started. We have this new one, the Bruce Swapp, and this is where Bruce's cousin Kevin is coming to visit, but then Bruce is going away to go fishing, and each party writes notes, but no one ever gets the notes. So all of the all of the creatures that live where Bruce lives think that, you can see just a quick picture because it's so fun, think that the cousin is actually Bruce, and the cousin is like the opposite. Bruce is like a curmudgeon, grouchy, grumpy, good at heart, but you know, not always most excited to do fun things. But Kevin, the cousin, is the opposite, and all of the creatures are just blown away. They are wondering what's going on, what happened to Bruce, why is he so much fun, and this new character, Kevin, is all fun, and you know, too much fun doesn't always work out. But I just wanted to mention that reading aloud is so fun. Like, I was so into it, like loud and voices, and I was so into this book that a teacher next door actually came to our class to check on us. They were worried. Feel like that's the sign of a great read aloud. So you should check out the Bruce Swapp. It's super fun. This is the advanced copy, so it's kind of falling apart, but the final book is so beautiful. It's got such a beautiful case and papers. It's just everything we come to expect from Ryan Higgins. Bruce Swapp, check it out. Next up, Except Antarctica. Antarctica. This is a book by Todd Sturgill, and it's super fun because it's this book of the narrator is like these creatures. It's like telling you like an informational book. Turtles are found on every continent except Antarctica. And then the turtle is like, well, I'm gonna go to Antarctica, and then there will be turtles there. And then all these other creatures who don't live in Antarctica are also going to Antarctica to kind of like ruin the narrator's, you know, steal his thunder a little bit. And it's just really funny, and you go on this adventure and you learn about Antarctica through the process, and the characters are really funny. Another one where I had a blast making the voices. There's some really fun things in the end papers at the end where they can learn. This is not the end papers, but there's some fun things in the end papers where you can learn a little bit more about it. Somehow, like there's penguins at the end, like the emperor penguins that live there. We ended up, after reading this book, we watched the trailer to March of the Penguins, that documentary that Morgan Freeman narrated, and the kids were like super into that. So it's always fun to read a brand new picture book and to meet a new creator. Except Antarctica, super fun. Next up, this was the last book that we read in the month of April. Yeah, these are 10 picture books I read in April. I might have said something different earlier in the video. Sorry. Deborah Friedman, one of my favorite creators ever. I love Carl. We're learning all about like food chains and food webs and everyone's role. So this was a super fun one. And it's starting to feel a little bit like spring. So like thinking about things growing and turning green. I love this book. If you haven't read Carl, you're kind of missing out. But we love Carl. We love Carl realizing what his purpose is in life. So good. If you haven't read Carl, highly recommend it. Next up, What the World Could Make, a Story of Hope. You probably remember these two creators from their book, Come With Me, which was a beautiful book. And you know, we can all use a little bit of hope right now. And a lot of times picture books is where we find it. So this was a really fun book to read aloud. I think that this would make like just an amazing book to add to your collection, classroom, home, present. Like the book is special. Yeah, I really liked it. What the World Could Make. And it really is a story of hope. So check that out. Next up is Peter Brown's latest, Fred Gets Dressed. Story of a child who goes into his parents' closet, tries on the father's clothing, and that's not really Fred's cup of tea. Tries on the mother's clothing, and and that is Fred's cup of tea. And Fred likes how Fred looks in this. And then there's a scene where Fred dressed in Fred's mother's clothing, and then the parents are there, and it's just an amazing moment in how the parents respond. So I love this book, and I love reading aloud to kids. Fred Gets Dressed, highly recommend. I'm not sure I'm going like this. I did watch Karate Kid kind of recently. Fred Gets Dressed, check it out. Next up, One Little Bag. We read this book. It's by Henry Cole on Earth Day. And it's just so cool. Like, this kid gets a bag at a store and then uses it for years, like his whole life. And it's just awesome. And it's a great story of reusing things and how it just makes us think about single-use plastic and how we just get rid of everything. A really awesome author's note at the end where you get to learn where this story was inspired from and how Henry Cole had an actual brown paper bag that he used for years. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Next up is one of the most beautiful and interesting picture books of 2021. Yeah, Zonias, Rainforest by Juana Martinez Neal. It's this beautiful story of a child who lives in the rainforest and all the things that are part of her, I guess, community. Maybe that's the right word, or all of her, where she lives. It's just awesome and beautiful, and it's just not only a celebration of her and her people, but also helps the readers start to think about the things that are happening to the rainforest and what we can do to make sure that possibly, we stand up for what's right. It's really, it's just so beautiful. This one feels like it's going to win some awards. Well, what do I know? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just in case you want to buy it. I'll put a list of all these books down in the description below so that you have them if you want to go back and look. Next up, Hurricane by John Rocco. I love this book. I thought it was really good. And then I read to kids, and then I fell in love with it like way more. Like, my kids were fascinated by this book. They loved the story, and then they loved the dock that is built in it. They were just like blown away by it. It was just, they were so interested, so intrigued. They absolutely loved it. It's a story of a boy who loves to go to this little fishing spot every day, and then a hurricane rips through town and it's destroyed along with their community. And he wants to go and fix it, but he's, sees the needs that his community members have. And so instead he's spending his time trying to help clean up. And then this really awesome things happen towards the end. Highly recommended. Highly, highly recommended. Hike by Pete Oswald. I don't know. I like to hike. I like to be outdoors. I love that this book, like hiking up, is like shaped like this and not like this. I think it was a brilliant move. The story of a parent and their child going on an adventure together. It's just fantastic. I loved reading this one aloud. It made me want to go for a hike with my own children and my wife and just get outdoors. We're starting to be able to get outdoors more a little bit here, and hopefully we can keep the kids, get the kids seeing the beauty of nature, the beauty of the outdoors, and what some of the things that they can do. Really, really love this book. And then the second to last day of the month, we read this book in my mosque, and the kids were fascinated by it. They had so many questions. They did not really know much about this at all, about mosque, they had questions about the hijab, they had questions about Islam. So lots of questions, and when kids are asking questions about books in the world, I think we're doing something right. So these are the 10 of the picture books we read, and many more. These are 10 of the picture books that I read my students in April of 2021. And I look forward to seeing which books we can squeeze in these last 6 weeks of the school year. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Colby Sharp. I hope you have an awesome-tastic day.